Okay, so for this chapter, it's kind of like backwards of last chapter. So remember, chapter 4, you were mostly taking equations and using the equation to graph the line, right? So this chapter's backwards. Here they're going to be giving you the equation or giving you the graph, and then you're going backwards to write the equation for the graph. Okay, but it's a lot of the same information. It's just working backwards here. All right, so if we start here at the top, a linear equation. Remember, linear means line. Basically, it means the equation of a line. It's an equation with two variables, and those two variables are x and y. Okay, and that gives you a straight line when plotted on the graph. Alright, so just remember, normal equations have two variables, x and y. We did learn about a weird types of lines that had one letter, only x or only y, but for the most part, we're looking for the ones with two variables. Okay? And when we write our linear equations, okay, this was what was really important last chapter, and you're still going to use it. We look at lines in slope-intercept form. So remember what slope-intercept form was. It was y equals mx plus b, right? Where the letter m is the slope of the line and the letter b is the y-intercept of the line, or where it crosses the y-axis. Alright, so same old stuff, just going to use it a little more now. Okay? Alright, so our first type of problem is we're going to be writing an equation of a line if they give you the slope and the y-intercept. Okay? So, for example, number 1 says, write the equation of a line whose slope, or m, is 4 and whose y-intercept, or b, is negative 3. Alright, so just remember your goal, whenever they're asking you to write the equation of the line, your goal is to write it in y equals mx plus b form. Alright, and this is the easiest kind, okay, because to write this equation of a line, what do you need? Two things. You need the slope, you need the y-intercept, and you just plug it in. And in this case, they gave you both, right? They told you the slope of the m is 4, and it told you the y-intercept or b is negative 3. So, here's our two pieces. The m equals 4, and the b equals negative 3. And now we're just going to write it in this format and substitute the values for m and b. So basically, we're going to take this and plug it in here, and we're going to take this and plug it in here. And then step 4 says simplify if needed. Okay? So my final answer is y equals 4x minus 3. Got my mx, the 4 in front of the x. Because my y-intercept is a negative 3, instead of plus, I put minus 3. And that's it. Okay, last chapter you learned how to read the equation, so now you're writing the equation, and they give you those two pieces of information. Okay? Alright, let's try another one. So now number 2 says, write an equation of a line whose slope is 3 and whose y-intercept is 7. So here's our two pieces of information. The slope is 3, the y-intercept is 7. So once again, we're trying to write it in this formula, y equals mx plus b, and we're just going to substitute these numbers in the right place. So the final answer will be y equals mx. M is the slope is 3, that goes in front, and then the intercept is 7, which is positive 7. Here's our answer, just like that. Alright, last example here. Now we're going to write the equation of a line whose slope is negative 5 and whose y-intercept is negative 1. Alright, so you're probably catching on here now. So now we're just going to start off with always y equals. We're going to plug in our slope first in front of the x, which is negative 5, and then it's x, and whose y-intercept is negative 1. Alright, so it's just that easy. We're just writing the equation of a line in slope. It's all about slope-intercept form, plugging it in. Okay? Now the next thing we're going to do, almost the same, okay, working backwards from last chapter. Okay, but now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be writing an equation of a line from a graph. Okay, so last chapter you learned how to take an equation in y equals mx plus b form, and you learned how to take an equation and make a graph out of it, right? Using the y-intercept first for the first dot, and then you use the slope to get the second dot, and that's how you got your line, right? So now we're going to be given a graph, and we have to find the equation for it. So just like the first page that you did, you need two things from the graph. You need the slope, you need the y-intercept, okay? Just like you use those to graph it, I need those from the graph to make the equation, okay? So when we go to our first graph here, to write this equation, let's get the y-intercept first. Just like that's how you always started. You always started with the y-intercept. Make sure you get the y-intercept, not the x-intercept, where it crosses the y. Okay? Now this is a point, but I only need the y value. So this crosses the y-intercept at -1, -2, which you'll see here, right? So the b, or my y-intercept, is -2. Now I need my slope. So remember what you did last chapter. You can find slope from any 2 points. Okay? Now, they gave me this point. I could also use that point, right? As long as it's 2 points. But I'm just going to use the 2 they gave me. But as always, you find your own if they don't give them to you. Okay, so if you wanted to use that, that's still going to be okay. Now just remember, slope is rise over run. Okay, so it doesn't matter which dot you start at. Okay, I'm just going to start here. So to get here, I have to go up or down first. In this case, I'm going to go down 2. So in this case, my rise is a -2 because I went down. Then I'm going to run over this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and going to the right is positive. Okay? Now I do need this to be simplified. So if I punch this into my calculator and then turn it back into a fraction, it'll simplify to -1/2. Okay? And remember what we also kind of talked about last chapter is if the fraction's negative, it means only one of the numbers is negative like it is here, right? If I have 2 negative numbers, if I put that on my calculator, it'll turn it positive, right? So because only one number was negative, the fraction is negative. Alright, so now we're going to write it in y equals mx plus b form. I'm going to plug this into the slope, which is the m. I'm going to plug this into the y-intercept, which is b. That's all you got to do. So our answer here will be y equals -1/2 x minus 2. And that's the equation of this line. Okay? So just to kind of recap, last chapter when you were given this equation, to graph it, you start with the intercept. The slope tells you where to put the second dot, and you connect it. So now when they give you this line, get the y-intercept, use another dot to get the slope, write the equation. Alright, now number 5 says write the equation of the line of the graph shown. Okay? So just remember, the way you're going to write the answer is going to tell you what to do. If I'm writing in y equals mx plus b form, that means I need 2 things. I need the m, which is the slope. I need the b, which is the y-intercept. Okay, so if I go here to the graph, well, let's get this y-intercept first. So here my b equals, where does this cross the y-intercept? The y-axis at -1, -2. Okay, and now I'm going to need my m, which is my slope. So I'm going to do my rise over my run. Here's one dot. I'm going to use another dot. I can use this dot. I can use that dot. Okay, either one's okay. I'm going to start here. And now, so I have to do my rise first. My rise, I'm going to go up 2. Going up 2 means +2. And then I'm going to run to the right 1. The right direction is also positive, so it's 2 over 1. If I put that in my calculator, 2 over 1 simplifies to 2. So here's my b, here's my m. Just going to plug it in for my final answer. So the equation for this line is y equals 2x minus 2. And that's it. Alright, let's try one more here. So now number 6, write an equation of the line shown on the graph. So, hopefully by now you're catching on. We need 2 things. We need the slope, which is our m. We need the b, which is our y-intercept. It's a little bit easier to just get that y-intercept first. In this case, here's where it crosses the y-axis. Remember, not the x-axis, the y-intercept. And that's at -1. So that's the b. And then for the m, I need another dot. That looks like a good dot. That looks like a good dot. Whichever two you want to use. But I do have to remember to do my rise first. So I'm going to use this dot and go to this dot. So here I'm going to rise down 1. So that means my rise is a -1 because I went down 1. And then I'm going to run over this way 3. To the right's positive. That's my slope, -1/3. So now we're just going to plug that into the slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So in this case, it's y equals -1/3 x minus 1. And that's it. Okay, so those are two ways to write equations of lines based on what they give you, either telling you the slope and the intercept or when they give you a graph. All right, so go ahead and do some practice on those types.